online. Welcome to our session. Today we're talking about developing career pathways to success using WorkKeys tools. So we have a pretty dynamic conversation set up. We're going to hear from two case studies as well as my esteemed colleague, Dr. Hill, and let me show you who is speaking today. All right, so hi, I'm Jenna Cohen. I'm Senior Director of the Workforce Products, and I have the privilege of overseeing all of our stuff at ACT that serves our adult learners. I'm joined today virtually by Tammy Green, who is the Executive Director of Community and Workforce Education at Metropolitan Community College, Bronwyn Robinson, who's the Assistant Director of WIOA Compliance at the Mississippi Community College Board of Office of Adult Education, and of course my esteemed colleague, Dr. Cindy Hill, who's our industrial organizational psychologist at ACT. She is everything that you need to know about WorkKeys and more, and always my go-to person. So before we get started, I'd like to see a show of hands for the folks in the room. Who has heard of WorkKeys? Who knows about WorkKeys? Okay. So I just want to be able to see so that I can know kind of how deep, what surface level I should go in so that I don't bore you all, but also give you enough context so that we can get started. All right, so WorkKeys, workforce solutions and for powerful results. So the most powerful thing about WorkKeys is we are an ecosystem. We help communities and organizations grow, align, assess, improve to certify. And we offer what's called a work readiness systems. And we do this through our work ready communities, through our WorkKeys profiling, occupational profile websites included in that, our WorkKeys assessments, which is a product within this ecosystem, our WorkKeys curriculum, which is the supporting the prep product for the assessments. And then we have 3 of our 9 assessments that create the WorkKeys NCRC. NCRC stands for National Career Readiness Certificate. What you should know about the National Career Readiness Certificate is it's federally backed and nationally recognized across the markets. And so this is that foundational career readiness validation that sends a trust signal to the market that this individual is ready for higher levels of learning. And those 3 assessments that create the National Career Readiness Certificate, we offer it in several different levels. So it goes the bronze, which is that entry level, then silver, gold, and platinum, which is that highest level. We do allow testing and retesting so that if a person wants to improve their career readiness certificate, they have the opportunity to do so. So let's take a look at these assessments that I mentioned to you. So when we think about the assessments, we're looking at cognitive skills that are measured by WorkKeys. Again, it's that skill validation. What does it take to be successful in that career? So we have applied math, graphic literacy, and workplace documents, and my graphics got cut off a little bit. One of the pleasures of going from Google Slides to PowerPoint back and forth. But applied math, graphic literacy, and workplace documents, those are the 3 assessments that comprise the National Career Readiness Certificate. We often refer to them as the big 3. And then we have supporting assessments around applied technology, workplace observation, and business writing. And these are the other 3 assessments that are not a part of that National Career Readiness Certificate, but are used by many different programs to help support learning. A really good example of this is in some states, the National Career Readiness Certificate is used along with, let's say, workplace observation to help an individual prepare for a para-educator certificate in their state. So as you think about the different resources, we have skill level descriptions, sample items for each level, and then we have the WorkKeys assessments practice exams. If anybody's interested in diving deeper into those topics, this is not a WorkKeys lesson today, please come find me afterwards and I'll be more than happy to share those resources with you. And then we wanted to just share a quote. I took my ACT WorkKeys test before I even got hired. I was gold certified, so they earned that gold National Career Readiness Certificate. I think it made employers notice me. It's a good test that shows your capability in certain areas, and I think it really helps a company determine which employees have a skill set needed to hire for the optimal position. And this is from Evan Shockey, who's a training coordinator for a food and beverage organization. Moving on, a little bit more about the National Career Readiness Certificate. When you think about what the skills that are identified for, and you think about skill-based hiring, I think has anybody else heard a lot more about skill-based hiring during COABE today? Yeah, not today, this whole week. So as we think about skill-based hiring, one of the great things about the National Career Readiness Certificate is the skills that you have validated, that you have earned, that you have mastered, are listed on the back of your certificate or in the skills part of if you were to achieve or obtain your digital badge. So for applied math, we're looking at identifying, converting, and calculating. For graphic literacy, interpreting, comparing, and using data. For workplace documents, we're looking at inferring, deciphering, and applying. And what all of this means in real terms, beyond academia, it's all described on our certificate. So this next slide shows you what the certificate looks like. And so if you were to get a printed certificate, the WorkKeys NCRC, again, like I had mentioned, is awarded at 4 levels. Higher levels indicate a greater number of jobs, which the recipient is qualified for. We have that platinum, which comprises of 96% of all the ACT profile jobs. We have the gold, which is 90%, silver, 71% of profile jobs, and bronze, which is the 16% of the profile jobs. Then we take a look at our digital badges. So every person who earns a National Career Readiness Certificate is eligible to request or access a digital badge through our partner, who's Credly. They are our digital badge provider, and this is what they look like. And so we've had over 6 million National Career Readiness Certificates be earned at one of the 4 levels. We have almost 30,000 employers that are requiring or recognizing the WorkKeys National Career Readiness Certificate for employment, promotion, or something else in their program. So really powerful, powerful work that the team is doing to get these validated skills in the market. All right, and then the last slide I'll share with you all today before passing it to Tammy Green, who's joining us. The ACT National Career Readiness Certificate, we've asked 5,469 job seekers about their ACT WorkKeys National Career Readiness Certificate, and here's what they told us. 66% of job seekers said that it helps my career program. The ACT National WorkKeys National Career Readiness Certificate is the biggest reason for that. 49% said that earning the ACT WorkKeys National Career Readiness Certificate has helped them make more money. 61% has said that the ACT WorkKeys National Career Readiness Certificate has helped them get a job, and then 95% would recommend it. 95. It's a very impressive number and something that I'm very proud of. So again, this is from Indeed. Wanted to leave you all with a little bit of data, and now it's my absolute honor and privilege to pass you all over to Tammy Green. Tammy Green is going to share some information with us. She is joining us live from the airport, so she's going to be the voice, the voice over the screen. So with that, Tammy, I'll pass it over to you, and you're up.
Wonderful, thank you, Jenna. So the 66% of job seekers who said it helped their career progress. Well, here's why it did. So the first thing, if you're taking a look, we use the WorkKeys system because it helps us to address the cliff effect. For those of you who do not know, the cliff effect happens when you are working with individuals who are receiving some form of assistance, but they want to use education as a pathway into a living wage. Little to know about that is that 8% of adults in the Omaha area have less than a high school diploma. What this equates to is 27,000 individuals without the skills for most entry-level jobs, and also for college-level education and job training. The other thing to also know is that 87% of the individuals seeking Title I educational support dollars are lacking the basic foundational academic skills to be successful. We know that by having students complete the National Career Readiness Certification. That is the indicator for both our career skills coaches and our instructors about what form of support a student will need in the classroom. Next slide. Oh, 71% of the jobs in Nebraska will require a post-secondary education. And when you add that all together, the net result is that students who start out in poverty are likely to stay in poverty if they do not earn a high school credential and or gain the necessary skills for the workplace. And this WorkKeys system actually is one of the most valuable tools that we have for being able to address all of these concerns so that individuals can participate in education to employment pathways successfully. So at MCC, Metropolitan Community College, our model consists of several intricate components. The first part of it is our recruitment through an employment plan all the way to employment. Next slide. So the first thing, we start with our recruitment and our referrals. Our recruitment starts within our adult education programs. At the very beginning, whenever a student starts within our adult ed programs, whether they are coming for English language learning or to get their high school equivalency, the first thing we start with in that intake is identifying what are their academic goals, what are their job goals, how much they want to make. It's very similar to what most of you probably do within your adult education systems. But this is also valuable information for when we're setting up our integrated education and training. Another component of the recruitment team is also focused on our community. So within our community, as we recruit, they also, after taking the NCRC, may have a high school equivalency, but they don't have some of the foundational academic skills or knowledge in order to successfully complete our education programs. So our goal is for completion in education and training, moving into a work-based learning opportunity with our business sponsors, and then working on job placement and work entry. What it leads to is increased wages, gainful employment, and an increased quality of life. So you might wonder, how in the world do we connect all of these systems? Well, the first place that we start by connecting the systems is by developing academic focus areas. All of our integrated education and training programs have 4 basic components. They have the technical training that is aligned to these academic focus areas. They have an integrated education and training instructor following the IBES model. They have a career coach that teaches the work-based learning, and we have a business partner. So a student may select at the very beginning what their interest is academically and what jobs they're looking for along that pathway. All of this aligns. This is probably going to look very familiar to most of you. This is the career and technical education map. And it's always so very colorful. So you'll see lots of colors, and we try to align all those colors. And then what we've done, this is a really large scale, but what we've done is we've developed a tiered pathway approach for our students. In tier 1, I'll take, for example, the healthcare pathway. So notice all of these pathways align with the CTE model, and they also align with our academic focus areas. So we'll take a look at the healthcare model. So within the healthcare model, what we do is we start out adult education, just like what you do, English language learning, GED attainment, national career readiness certification. And in this case, at that first tier, they do a CPR and first aid class. We work with our dean, and that is their first credit. Now, we could do a non-credit or we could do a credit. Our dean and us decided, why don't we give our students the opportunity to earn some credit? So that's their starting point. The next level After they're done, now they move into their mid-level non-credit certification programs like pharmacy tech, phlebotomy. All of these are IETs. And then they move into, if they choose to, they move into our credit programs or our more advanced non-credit certifications. All of them leading to jobs on the other end. The other thing that I wanted to draw your attention to is this, the National Career Readiness Certification. What we have done is we've aligned the Holland Code for our interest inventory all the way through the different certification levels, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, all the way through to the career clusters. And what we've done is we're able to identify when a person says, hey, you know what, I want to go into healthcare, and they've scored a bronze on the NCRC. That bronze is important for the student and it helps us to communicate with the student. But you also have very valuable skill scores on the back end for your instructors and your coaches to know exactly how to help that student while they're in their class and while they're in their program. And then as they progress up with their platinum, if they progress from bronze to platinum in healthcare, then really what that means is not only increasing their academic knowledge, but their ability to apply that academic knowledge to the world of work. So one of the things I wanted to show was that not everybody starts immediately in an IET within our programs. We have two different forms of IETs. One of them starts when students are levels 4, 5, and 6, whether that be in our ELL programs or our ABE programs. But before that, we have really concentrated work that is done with our students on advancing their foundational skills if they're level 1s, 2, or 3, and also 4. But as they become level 5 and 6, we start to bridge them into their academic focus area. And the results are, with their educational functioning level gains, 57% of our student population earns a measurable skill gain. A little other data, we track our students longitudinally because at MCC, it's really important for our college to acknowledge that we have one of the most valuable recruiting tools for the college. These students, our students, are already there. They have student IDs, they have student emails, and so now we can track them all the way through their academic progression. So one of the things I wanted to point out is over the last 3 years, we have had almost 1,000 students, 985 students progress into degree seeking. And that is huge. And then we track it a year post. So we'll be pulling up our 23-24 data because we're always a year behind with our data tracking because they finish our program and then either most of the time then immediately move into their credit programs. Thank you all very much.
Hi, I'm Cindy, and I just wanted to mention real quickly, and I'll come up after Bronwyn shares her story. WorkKeys does have, we just launched it, the skill-based career navigation model, and it's all just a website, it's free, all of the stuff's out there, you're welcome to it, but it takes you through some coaching tools, practice tests, ties to the curriculum, which is paid for, but it's just got an entire action plan that will help students to actually figure out what they want to do and achieve what TAMI students are achieving. So, Bronwyn?
Well, good morning. As I said, I'm Bronwyn Robertson, and I am with the Mississippi Community College Board Office of Adult Education. And so I'm going to take this kind of a backwards approach because I'm a Title II provider, whereas TAMI is bringing it from a workforce standpoint. How many of you are local providers in here, local adult ed providers where you're working with students to put them on pathways, right? Okay, so that's kind of how I want to walk with you today on what we're doing in Mississippi at the local level to incorporate WorkKeys things in our classes, but also show how we're supporting workforce development. How many of you think you're in workforce development in your state, involved in workforce development? We all are, right? Because we are contributing to the workforce, right? So back in 2019, we really changed how we're looking at adult education in our state. We want the workforce leaders to know that we are a pipeline to what they need in our state. And so how are we supporting Mississippi's WIOA plan? How are we doing that? We have 3 goals in our current plan right now that we want to increase post-secondary transition credential attainment. We want to make sure that all of our adult ed students are college and career ready, okay? And we built multi-level career pathways. And so I'm going to give you an example of kind of what that looks like. So to give you an idea of what Mississippi is like, we have roughly right below 3 million individuals in our state. We have about 300,000, a little over 300,000 individuals above the age of 18 that do not have a high school diploma, but we serve 30% of the students are 16 to 17, so we know that number is a little bit higher than that 301 because that's based off the Census Bureau. Right now in Mississippi, probably the same as you, over 90% of the individuals that we serve are below that basic skills deficiency that Tammy just mentioned to y'all that need WIA funds, right? So they've got to meet that threshold. So when you're talking about supporting the plan and what we're tasked with in Title II under the federal law, supporting your workforce in your state, where's our skills gap? No high school diploma, right? We can't even talk about a middle skill. If you'll go to the next slide. So in Mississippi, 70% of the jobs in Mississippi require a middle skill. That is more than high school, but less than a 4-year degree. Is that a 2-year degree? Is that a 16-week lineman program? So that's what we have in Mississippi, and you can see that we have a middle skill training gap, but we also just have a gap in itself, as I just mentioned, not having a high school diploma. So we've got a task ahead of us and the responsibilities that we have in Title II. So what do? We built what's called multi-level career pathway that no matter what educational level a student enrolls with us, we have a plan for them. So what is that plan? We have what's called the foundation, bridge, and my best. And I know that we're all worried about gains. We all worry about MSGs and the table that Tammy showed earlier. But I firmly believe that everything that you do, if you are student-centered in everything that you do in your program, you're going to see a gain eventually. Now, is that going to show up on the table? Maybe not, but they're going to increase their reading levels. And we're seeing that using the WorkKeys curriculum, which is what I'm going to show you in a few minutes. So we're doing all these things. We've identified things that we are doing with them no matter what educational level they're coming in. And then we're also talking about what's your next step. What is the next step? So every one of our Title II providers have built multi-level career pathways. So when a student comes in, if they want to do welding, they have little credentials along the way that they can be working on, whether it's digital literacy, NCCR, welding essentials, whatever that may be, so that they're more employable. Forklift, OSHA, what are those things they can be working on? So we've built those across the state. So how have we done this? Our employability skills class in Mississippi is called Smart Start. And then people will they'll like, oh my goodness, it's 45 hours. It's a 45-hour employability skills class that we have embedded in adult education. It is Mississippi focused. So they don't just learn about career exploration, they learn about the jobs where they live. We have 4 workforce areas. We're very supportive of this strategic plan. If lineman's big or energy's big down on the south, they're learning about those jobs down there. If furniture, automotive is big up in the Northeast, they're learning about those jobs in the Northeast. And what skill set do you need to have? And we're a big WorkKey state. So they go through all of this, but one of the first things they do is they take the WorkKeys predicted level quizzes within the curriculum. And so that's one of the very first things they do And so, and our class is a state credential. It is signed by our executive director at the Community College Board, and it shows employers that our students have been through career exploration. They have a resume, they know team building, they know customer service, they know communication, and it's also tied to college credit. That's why the length is pretty long. They also get prior learning if they go into a CTE program for work-based learning. So that's kind of why it's lengthy as well. And you can tell it's housed in the Canvas and the LMS, which is great for our students because all of our community colleges have Canvas. So when they get to that community college, they already know how to navigate through the Canvas LMS system. So they log in by username, by email and name. That's pretty much how they use the curriculum. And they go in, and you saw Jenna give you an example of this, but they take the predicted level quiz. So, and that lets them know where to start working in the modules. And y'all, we see this, which is, I'm gonna get to my end of presentation, as high school equivalency preparation. They're in applied math, which is daily math they're gonna be doing every single day on a job, okay? Workplace documents, learning how to read policy, procedures and manuals and things like that. So they are learning things within this that are gonna help them be more successful when they get into a CTE or a workforce training and even with the employer. So we use the job profile database through ACT. So let's say they want to be a welder. And I'm going to use this as an example. My dad was a welder, so I always go to welding, okay? So they want to be a welder, and they make a 3 on that predicted level quiz. Well, we're going to sit down with them. We're going to say, you know what? Our workforce welding program is going to allow you to get into that program, but do you really know all the skill set that you need to know at a bronze level? Let's try to work in that database. Let's try to work in the curriculum in order to increase your skill. And this is what it looks like. So they can go in, we put in welding, and then we can have the conversation with them. This is the minimum skill that you need, but let's increase that skill a little bit. So we work with them through the Smart Start class. They're in that curriculum every day, probably about no more than 30 minutes. Okay, I can't be on software, I can't read and be in a system for more than probably 15, 20 minutes, but they're in it about 30 minutes a day, and then they can also do it at home. But this allows for conversation here, and you're gonna talk about how they can put in their, okay, so Dr. Hill's gonna go a little bit further in that. Then we go a little bit step further with them, and we talk about the salary. What can you look at making? And this is a little bit specific. They can put in the zip code where they live, and it's gonna bring up their area, and here's the area, the state, and the United States in a comparison. So just some conversations with your student, and y'all, this is really shown when they're doing this embedded in adult ed, retention and progression, because it's relevant to them, okay? We do have some students that will come in and I'm here for my high school diploma, I don't really care about all this, but when they get in there, they'll see it. You know, they'll start realizing. So this is a WIOA approved Title I program that if they went to the WIN Job Center, got accepted into the welding program, they could apply for ITA funds to pay for this training, okay? So you take this program and you look at what they have to know in order to be in that program. So what did we do? We took it, if you'll go to the next one, we took down all those course topics they're gonna have to know, okay? We took down the math concepts in applied math, what they're learning in applied math related to that training program. Hey, this is what you're gonna have to know in that training program, okay? We took the workplace documents, related it to that course description, and then put down the level here. So where we can tell them, yes, you need a 3, but if you really wanna be successful in this and know the stuff, a 4 to a 5 is ideal. And it really opens up the eyes for your students, okay? So the one thing here, so this tells you, basically this is, I think it says fractions and decimals and conversions. So this is kind of lets them know their strengths and their weaknesses. You know, if this were me with conversions, I'd be down at beginner down here. But this lets them know, hey, where they are, you know, in that curriculum and how they're working through all that and where they are on that. We track it because we pay for the curriculum. And so we want to be able to say, okay, is this curriculum really beneficial to our students? The only thing that I will say, it's very hard for me to data match, because they have to use email, first name and last name to use the curriculum, okay? How many of y'all students change their emails like every 6 months or once a year, okay? When they enroll with us and, in our data management system that we use, they may have an email, but when they get to the curriculum, to log into the curriculum or have their account created, they may have a different email address, okay? So it's been very difficult for us to data match that. Maybe that's something we can work on in the future. But, so this past year, we found 3,756 diverse students were in this curriculum. And we were able to data match them on our table 4, okay? Which if y'all know about that, that's our Bible and Title II. And so, how many high school equivalencies have they gotten? How many had gotten an EFL game? This is not duplicated. I took it out. And that's our MSGs on those students, okay? That's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. We also want to know, hey, how long are they really working in the curriculum? This is a report that ACT is so nice to send me, or the students, and I can do it myself, but I can tell how long they're in things. How long are they in there? Are they really using it? And also, I didn't put it on here, but you can see the idle time. It's not even 27 minutes. That's good. That is very, very good. So they're in there, they're working in there, and they find it relevant. This is just what we kind of go over with them. This is a score report that we go over with them and talk about their skill scores. Y'all may be very familiar with that, but it just allows us to tell them their skill set and what we may need to work on. If when they go take it and they don't pass it, you heard them say they can retest, we allow them to retest one time for free. But we do have grant money to pay for another time if they need it. But I say that if they don't get what they want, like there's a 3 up there on applied math, they need to retest, we're gonna let them know what we need to work on and go back in that curriculum and increase those skill sets. So how are we contributing to Mississippi's workforce in Title II? Okay, real quickly, we had around 7,000 people to be awarded a National Career Readiness Certificate in the last 5 years. 74% of those, probably like y'all, are, because a majority of our students are at EFL level 4 or below, but we have an 82% measurable skills gains on those individuals. It's phenomenal, okay? We also got InSpark at Mississippi State University to tell us where our students are, just basically out of Title II. We can show that we're contributing to Mississippi's workforce because they're either enrolled or employed within 1 year. You can see our exiters, 61% within 1 year. Those individuals are still, I'm gonna probably say within 3 years, those are employment, okay? 72% and right at 77 for 5 years. So we can sit with people in our state and say, you know what? We are putting people to work. We are contributing to our state's needs. And as you can see, we are an ACT work-ready state. We're getting there, but we are highly, highly WorkKeys state, where our employers are recognizing the NCRC in their hiring practices. So this all leads to this. We just approved in January for applied math and workplace documents to be an HSC subject area test for total transcript. Based off 1 year of research with ACT, we just didn't come out and say, hey, we're gonna plop this score on it. So now our students can combine applied math and workplace documents with their GED or HiSET scores. We are very, very excited about that. We're already allowing, I know, I have a local program back there that's like, yeah, I'm so excited. Our programs are really, really jumping on this. And so right now, I will just say, because I don't want to present on something that if we're not doing it yet, we approved this in January. We are still working with Diploma Center and ACT to get all the kinks out, to get things imported to the system and all of that. But I'm going to tell you right now, we probably have, I don't know, sitting right now, I don't know, over 200 students that could probably benefit from a high school diploma right now. Yes. So I'm going to give you an example real quickly. How much am I running out of time? I'm going to give you an example right now of how a student that we just found out about. He is at Jones College. He was working on, he went into employability skills. He did the Smart Start class. He got the state credential. He had passed 2 portions of his high school equivalency. He got a bronze on the NCRC. They let him in the welding program, the workforce welding program, okay? Short-term, non-credit. So he's working along in that, and he's still in HSE classes because he's got Now he's already passed another portion. He's got RLA. Okay. So they called him up several weeks ago and said, hey, you want to get in the CTE welding program? He said, I do. And he said, well, they said, well, look, they just approved for workplace document. They just approved these subject area tests. Do you want to come back and try to take your RLA again, or do you want to try to do workplace documents? And he said, well, I really would benefit from the silver, right? If I want to get a job or whatever, I'd benefit from the silver. And they said, yeah, more than likely. And he said, well, let me come back. So they said, well, get back in the curriculum. Let's see what you can do. He came back last week, scored a silver. He now has a high school diploma because of the silver on the workplace documents. He's got the high school diploma. He is now going to enroll in the CTE program at that college, and they're going to PLA his short-term workforce development classes where he only has one semester. That's huge for somebody to have their high school diploma, that short. So that's what this is about, that skill-based hiring you're talking about. How many of you that have a student in your class, how many people in your program everybody's gonna get a high school diploma? Raise your hand if 100% of the people that you serve is gonna get a high school diploma. No, right? Okay, raise your hand if every person in your class has a skill set. Everybody should be raising that hand, right? WorkKeys does that for us. Is it the be all? No. But for us, it's opening up opportunities for our students into further training and to get connected to employers. And so we're seeing gains, retention, progression, gains with it, and getting further in their IETs, and then getting on into college. And that's what it's all about. So if I will be here, if y'all have any questions afterwards. Oh, yes. Are you sure? Yes.
I have a burning question. So when you talk about your students, what is the breakdown between English as a second language learners and high school dropouts or high schools that are transitioning? Because then I would imagine that the curriculum would have to be different to serve an English language learner student who's struggling to learn English at the same time they're getting all these credentials. How does that, what are your numbers?
Well, and that's what I was just talking with someone earlier. We do have a low number. We are not like the rest of the nation when it comes to adult education. We have a very low, we probably serve maybe 500 a year of English language learners. We are very low. Ours are, as a state, very low. But they are offered the same opportunities as anybody else. Now, I will tell y'all, we just found this out. Christine was with me at Jones College. We were just there visiting, and one of the teachers came out and said, hey, we're using WorkKeys curriculum in our literacy class. And what she have 7 to have a gain since she started doing it. There's a level 1 and 2 in WorkKeys curriculum that if they don't score that 3, they can use that 1 too. So they're using the curriculum in their literacy class and seeing MSG gains on their TABE, which
Hey,
is
Jen. Hey,
okay.
hey, Jenna, one of the things I wanted to mention is, so we have almost 50-50. 50% of our students we serve are English language learners with 87 different languages spoken in our program. And then the other half are seeking their high school fluency. In Nebraska, we have the GED. We don't have a lot of flexibility in that. But here's where the WorkKeys curriculum comes in. For our English language learners, when they're level 1, level 2, level 3, we really try to concentrate on the English language learning concepts and just really target that. And then as they start to progress as to becoming completers with their English language proficiency, then we switch them over to the WorkKeys. Here's why. What we have discovered is that as our students, and I wish I had, so Natsul is one of our students who came from Guatemala, and he progressed for over a 3-year period through our English language classes. He needed to get his high school fluency and then moved on into IT. And now he's working at 5'9" and, making more than I am, right? But the important thing was how we bridge the students and how WorkKeys allows us to do that bridge for students. And not everybody needs to get another GED if they've got an advanced degree from their home country. The National Career Readiness Certification does two things. One, just like what Bronwyn was talking about, they have an incredible skill set, right? So this helps to demonstrate that skill set. Number two, the WorkKeys curriculum is contextualized to the workplace. That has been very, very important because when students move into credit courses or they move on to the workplace, it's a little bit more advanced than what you would find in Burlington English and things like that. So the WorkKeys helps us to bridge that. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, when you said that the students received an MSG, was that the TABE MSG or what did you use for
So-
that, or CASA?
Well, no, we're a TABE state. We use TABE, but also too, they can go into, if they get the NCRC, if, you know, now if they go into a post-secondary training program, that's a game. You know, so it's definitely, there's several ways for you to get a game, but we are looking at that last column on your table 4 on those students. So it's EFL, it's HSC, it can be IET, it could be any of those. But TABE is ours, yes. But we also, now I will say this, we worked with ACT to get the WorkKeys on the Federal Register as an approved suitable test. So we approved WorkKeys, applied math and workplace documents as a pre and post
Right.
before we worked on the total transcript.
Right, we're doing that now.
Are you? Oh, it's fantastic. Mhm.
3 separate questions.
3?
One, so the pre-assessment that they're taking, is that strictly assessing skills out of the major 3 competencies?
Yes.
Does it align at all to career interests the same way ONET would?
Well, we are,
That's what Tammy, isn't that what Tammy put up?
Tammy put up, yes. The career clusters, yeah, and the ONET, yes.
Let's move through ONET online where they're taking the 60 questions that are
Yes, that's what Tammy
career
uses.
exploration. Gotcha.
That's what
And
Tammy
so it's an overlap of the pre-assessment and
Keep
my
going.
next move
That one.
for determining
Oh,
like
yeah.
what specific pathway.
Mhm.
Cool. Second, that was question 1. Question 2, what curriculum are you using in your HFC classrooms outside of WorkKeys? Are you aligning with essential ed? Like, is there a specific textbook? Are teachers generating their own curriculum? Where's the overlap or the supplement that's outside of WorkKeys?
Okay, so Tammy, you're one of our local providers. So let's think for a second. We do have Essential Ed, we do have Aztec, we do have KET in our programs.
Some programs at KET.
Yeah.
We use supplement materials, we use,
Can they hear
tape
her?
tutor, tape tutors, tape score boots, Kaplan, we use Kaplan books sometimes.
So it is a braided like
Well,
curriculum.
this is it. If they're in that employability skills class, now correct me if I'm wrong, they're really only in the WorkKeys curriculum while they're in employability skills class. So that's about a 4 to 5 week class, depending on how they run that class. It's very programmatic.
For the employability skills, like, that's a state written, like, every.
We
provider-
joined in, so we piggybacked off, we did some of our own stuff, and then we piggybacked off of what ACT had created through Career Ready 101, as well as Smart Work Ethic, just different things like that. So we piggyback off those and just kind of created our own stuff.
So it is different region by region based on demand. Were there curriculum creators from each region developing with adult ed providers?
So I don't do anything from the state office without local input. So we had what we call Smart Start team leads. So those instructors, several instructors from each workforce area sat on the state PD team and wrote and helped write the curriculum or helped tweak the curriculum. Yes. And so within the Canvas class, and I can send y'all, like if you want to see it, But we put the strategic plan for each workforce area in there, but each program can tweak their Canvas course to meet the needs of their area. So say they might put in intro to robotics if they're at Itawamba Community College. They might put in just different things to meet the needs of their particular area. So if you were a local program, we'd say, hey, make it yours. We don't control what you teach or how you teach it. I mean, you might find another software that's good to use. Like, I think a program that everybody's kind of going to is like Level All, something like that, or AI types things. And so virtual reality, you might be able to teach something, a career exploration through virtual reality. So we don't dictate how you teach it, you just have to teach the outcomes. Does that make sense?
And you're only taking that pre and that post assessment while you're in that employability class.
Yes. So they're doing everything with WorkKeys. Hopefully by the time they get out of the employability skills class, they've got the NCRC, they might have another little certificate, digital literacy, something like that. So they go through, they're ready to go into possibly some workforce training, and they might go into that workforce training while they're in the Smart Start class.
Unless the provider chooses not to use TABE and use WorkKeys as their pre-post.
Right. Right. And see, now, now, let's not even get into alternative assessments, So there's just a lot of avenues now for students. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I mentioned earlier that we do have the career navigation model, and there's the website, that little QR code if you want that.
I made sure they worked before I put them up
You
there.
did, okay. So that little QR code takes you to it, but you can also just literally Google WorkKeys skill-based career navigation model, and you'll get it that way. But it basically, our goal was to just put all the tools on one page so that people don't have to go searching for them. And there's also, we did a 1-hour webinar that really walks you through the entire process from beginning to end. And the link to that webinar is also on that webpage. So both of those things are available there. I'm gonna very briefly walk you through it. Is it working or is it not working? Well, come up, you can come get it.
I got this off of a flyer. Do we have those flyers with us?
I don't think so. Oh, yes, we do. Here.
Here, these codes are right here. So let's, did you guys get those flyers? Yes. Take the back of it.
I didn't. That's much easier.
I tested it on my phone and it did work, but then I was like, I think we might have those flyers.
It's just too far.
Yeah, it's just too
So-
far.
I have to admit, I'm not good at QR
I was
codes.
really up close to the computer when I did it.
Everything works.
Okay,
So the back of this right here.
yeah. All right, wanna go on?
Okay, you got it, yay.
Okay, so when you go out there, you want to scroll through. They put the little marketing stuff at the beginning, so just ignore it. Scroll down.
Like a recipe from a blogger.
Yeah, and what you'll get to is you'll get to the matching your WorkKeys skills to jobs. And then that actually is the coaching tool that a student could use or a learner could use to go through. If they've taken WorkKeys, they could put their scores in it. It just walks them through the whole process. And then we're also making a video that you could just put on and they could just watch it and it would walk them through it.
And they put, in this where they also, because I think we do this, where they could put in like, what if I score this?
That's it. That's what that is. Yeah, it takes them through that whole thing. And then there's also a link to the occupational profile website that Bronwyn mentioned. And so go ahead and check. I think that's the next slide. Okay, go one more. Yes. Okay, so we do a thing called job profiling, and basically it's just job analysis. So at this point, we've had more than 22,000 jobs profiled in different employers, so across the entire country. And that's what's in that database. And so every time a job profile comes in from an employer, we assign an ONET code. So on that prior slide that Tammy had, where she had the NCRCs going down, and then she had the interests going across, she has them take the interest inventory on ONET, and that's what gets them that far left-hand column. Then, when she had bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, there were jobs for each one of those in the squares. And that's based on what's in the Job Pro database. So we didn't just arbitrarily say, hey, welder should go here. We have like 200 and some profiles for the job of welder. And we've gone from all these different employers, and that's what's being reported when you go into the job profile database and doing the searching. And so that's where she got that. And it's not just,
1482, they did find some comments for you guys, some of their favorite.
One of the things I just wanted to share, just to add a little bit of understanding behind the power of the job profiles. We have a lot of folks who have gone through the job profiler training so that they can understand the entire ecosystem and job, right? But we have 94% retention rates with our students when they go into jobs. And the reason for that is because we can point a laser and really understand what a person needs and teach them so that they're successful on the job. I'll be honest with you, one of the things we're discovering because of the WorkKeys is that a lot of times we hear from our employees, or somebody would just learn to show up on time, or they would get off their phones. Well, one of the things we're starting to discover is, one, we teach that, right? So that people fully understand that the job they're going into, they don't have their phone. You know, they can't wear their fuzzy slippers. But what we have found is that those soft skill issues are manifested because there's a misalignment with the job that they do. And when they take that job, you don't want to go up to their boss and say, I have no idea how to do this. They just stop showing up. They start coming to work on time. They start arguing with their coworkers, you know, they start to become disengaged because our students count how many times, you know, not done well in an education program, not done well at a job, or not done. And so one more not done well is too much. And WorkKeys gives us a chance to have a tool so that we can make sure that they get to count it as I'm doing this well.
okay, thank you, Tammy. I don't know if y'all caught all that. Tammy actually trained teachers also and career coaches to be job profilers. So when she talks about that they partner for their different programs with the employers in their community, what they're doing is she's sending those teachers, coaches out there to the employer site, and they're actually doing the job analysis and figuring out what is it that they need to do on the job, what are the WorkKeys levels that are needed for entry into and effective performance in the job, and then they're able to bring it back and they're able to build those pathways, that those tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, she's able to have them build that. And she always inserts the stackable credentials because NCRC stacks very well with A+ fundamentals, with CompTIA's A+, with Manufacturing Skill Standards Council, all of theirs it stacks well with. So she's able to actually build those pathways because she has those career coaches and those teachers actually talking and dealing with the employers to find out what they really need. So.
Is there a list of national employers that have signed MOUs or acknowledged that specific certificates are guaranteed at least interview, or like not just like
Yeah.
aligned to employment, but like a solid foot in the door where in comparison to Joe Schmo, who has the same list as you minus that, it makes you more, it's like a guarantee, some
Yeah.
level of guarantee.
We have the Work Ready Communities website, and that's where I think Jenna was saying there's like 29,000 employers who have said, we recognize that this career readiness credential exists. Some of them actually recommend it. Some go beyond that to the point of, we really recommend that you have it. Those employers who've actually done the profiles, they will actually, a lot of times I'll show it, I mean, they will actually put it in their job listing. Like on Indeed, If you go out there and you search on like NCRC, WorkKeys, something like that, you'll see the employers who are actually asking for it in their job ads. So you can do that. But what Tammy I know does is she will not run a program. She can correct me if I'm wrong. She will not run a program unless it's got at least an employer sponsor. And so like I did site visit with her, and they had a group that was graduating from programs that Google was interested. They were building a plant, and so Google was like the sponsor of that education program. And she had Google throwing this huge graduation party. And they weren't guaranteed a job, but they were like you were saying, they were gonna get a foot in the door ahead of everybody else as it. So, I mean, Tammy works that in, and I think when we've got people like Tammy who set that up with their local employers, that's when we really see the whole magic happen, really.
Is that done in a, how is that done in a state side or just in a college side? How does?
You know, it depends. Like Bronwyn, you all have a lot of counties that are work-ready community. That's what that one map of Mississippi was showing, where all of the counties within Mississippi have become work-ready communities. So in that instance, it's a community.
I would say to Tammy, like that's a community, probably a community college, thing that she's built. I think it's gonna be like a community district area. type
Yeah, she's
partnership.
Omaha. So it's Douglas
She's off-
County.
She's off of mute now.
Yeah. Oh, is she?
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Tammy, are you off mute?
I am. I hope everybody can hear me.
It's much better now.
Oh, okay. Well, forgive me for that. So a couple of things that we look at with our business partners. One, they can sponsor programs that look very similar to an apprenticeship program. And they need employees. They're willing to train employees, and they're definitely willing to train employees that stay. And so there's two different ways that we pay for it locally. One of those is through a program called GAP. It's a state funded program. The other way that we pay for that training program is businesses actually pay for it in a very similar to an apprenticeship program.
Let's see, the other stuff that's up here, when you go out to the website, there's the interactive, can you go back? Go back one more, I think it's one more. Yeah, that one. Okay, so when you get out there, this is, no, what? One more, there, okay. So this is kind of what Bronwyn was talking about. They get their score report. So this is the student score report. And then they can actually go out there on the occupational profile website, which again is free. And if they click on search by your skill levels, then they can actually put the skill levels that they scored in, and then they can decide, do we want to see the jobs that are the best match for me? Do we want to see better jobs? Like if I got a silver, then I could go do this. And so they can really do some career exploration with it. And then the coaching tool that's out there lets them actually track. I mean, that's really what the coaching tool is just tracking their research and everything. And I'll also say on this website, it links directly to ONET. So they can see what are the wages, what are the job opportunities, all of that. And then if they want to see more, it takes them right to the ONET page to find out more information. And then this is just the tool that helps them track. And I think, Bronwyn, didn't you also say something, scale scores? Yeah. So instructors, so we have levels 3 through 7, and then that's what gets them the National Career Readiness Certificate. But we also have scale scores for each of the levels so that they can kind of see, oh, I scored a 71. I have a scale score of 71. If I just do 1 point more, I'm at a level 3. So let's just spend a little bit of time and I'll get it up. So they can see how close they are to that next level, or to that next career readiness credential. So that's all of what's out there. Like I said, there's a 1-hour webinar that we did that literally walks you through the entire thing. And you can also, if you're like me, I just like to touch and click on things and figure it out myself. So, okay, so go through, okay, now go back. Okay, so this is also out there because we deal with a lot of corrections. We had the Federal Bureau of Prisons contract, and so we work with a lot of corrections where they may not have access to the internet to do any of that exploration. So click on the next one. Okay, this is what those are. So if you click on those, these are the handouts that actually will show them. These are the fast growing jobs within the transportation, warehousing careers. These are the WorkKeys skill levels, and then the median annual wage and projected job openings. So that's just at a glance. If they don't want to go search through or they can't get on the internet to search, those are out there for all of those different industries. Jenna mentioned the digital badges, which are all through Credly. So as soon as they earn one for free, they don't have to pay anything for it. They'll, if they have tested online, they would have put their email address in, then they'll automatically get an email from Credly saying, here, accept this. And then they get access to a lot of other materials once they've gained their badge. And then we also have the ACE recommendations. So American Council for Education, they have recommended, so they do a very, very thorough third-party review. So if you're looking at credentials, they are very thorough. And so what they recommended after their review was that if somebody earns a platinum, they recommend that an institution give them 6 credit hours, gold up to 4 credit hours, and then a silver's up to 2 semester hours. So that's already endorsed. Of course, as you all know, prior learning assessment, it's up to the institution to decide what they will and won't accept. But here, the institution doesn't have to do the review. They've already done the review. That's it? Okay. Any other questions?
We have about 8 minutes left. Happy to give you all 8 minutes back, but also happy to stick around for questions. I'm looking in the app. I've been answering the questions in the chat. We've got a couple of shout outs from Mississippi. Just very proud to see that information there. Questions about information being provided afterwards. We will make sure all the information is uploaded. And happy Wednesday from Little Rock and hello from Alabama.
Yeah.
So that is what you all have missed in the chat. And that
Thank
is
y'all
what
so
I've been
much.
doing here. Thank you all so much. Everyone online, thank you so much for joining. Tammy, safe travels. Safe travels to everyone else.
Bye, Tammy.
Thank you all.
We love you.